Welcome back to another episode of the Randy Wilson podcast. And Nikki, thank you. They've been asking. We're back together. Okay.
You
We're back
back.
together.
You back.
We're back together. This is another podcast being brought to you on all podcast platforms. However, if you're listening and you're driving, maybe when you get settled, you can go over to YouTube. You can see us. We're tuning in also on YouTube here virtually. And very excited to be back with you, particularly with my co-host Nikki Shaw. Now, let's get right into it here, okay?
Okay.
Um, some things are changing. Okay, I told Nikki I might have a little bit of a morning rant here this morning. Not too much of a rant, but
Oh
I
boy.
think it's important that you guys understand. Like, people are listening. People are
Mhm.
listening, like, and watching. Um, this podcast is evolving into more of a conversation-driven show. I need the listeners to understand that. Involving the two of us, myself and Nikki. Okay, so while still including interviews. Occasionally it'll happen, but I need to just have this conversation with folks. Like interviews got to be mutually beneficial. They got to
Right.
be mutually beneficial to the point of like there's cost associated with creating these productions, okay?
Right.
And today we're doing it virtually, which requires no cost, quite frankly.
Right.
All right.
Mhm.
But
But we also want sponsors because the more sponsors we have, the more content we can put out.
yeah, yeah. Hey, speak up just a little bit too, okay?
Okay.
To make sure. So that's important. And I mean for serious inquiries, if you really are interested in being a guest on the show, you can email rwilsonpodcast@gmail.com. Where to guess what? Got a manager. I've got somebody else
Hey.
managing the email. Okay?
One.
Somebody else is managing. Sometimes it's me and I pretend like I'm someone else. Okay. Right now, it's not me. Okay. It
You've
is
leveled
not
up.
me.
That's the
I'm
level
taking
up.
myself out the middle of it because as soon as we tell you guys that there's a cost associated with the show, you know, it changes things.
Mhm.
Shout out to Michelle Mosby. She was willing to come on the show. She had some things she wanted to talk about. No issues at all. We're getting ready to
Mhm.
do an episode soon with the Capitol Trail Foundation.
Okay.
And if you guys are familiar with the trail that goes from here to Williamsburg, and there's a new one going from Ashland to Petersburg. So we're gonna talk, no issues. And we can do in-person shows. We have one coming up. I'm
Right.
just saying this it's not my focus anymore to be solely interview based. This is my focus, conversations. And so I just want to kind of put that out there to folks because the email is getting crazy. And I think that I'm very appreciative, first off,
Mhm.
that people see value in the podcast ability to help elevate their voice. And
Right.
particularly, marginalized communities, black voices, brown voices,
Mhm.
LGBTQ voices, like voices, period, because
Right.
there's been some intentionality behind that, but okay, it has to be a mutually beneficial situation. And that doesn't always mean cost. It also means like, what can you do for us? How can
Mhm.
you help make the podcast great?
Right.
What are you doing with the content? Are you sharing it? Are you helping promote it? Like,
Mhm.
so that's just the direction we're moving in. And I don't want that to prevent anybody from still inquiring. But if you don't get the in-person interview or if you don't get the conversation within the time frame that you want it to, you got to understand you got to move to the back of the line because we got to prioritize the where dollars are coming from and
Right.
our lives here. So just kind of want to that only further staples you in here, Nikki. Like you are a part of this show. Okay. We might need to rebrand, seriously. We might need to rebrand. We
Okay.
might need to come up
I'm
with a
down.
name.
I'm down.
I
A
was
new
looking
name
at Angie Martinez. I don't know what the name of her show is, but I think it's like in real life or
in
something
real
like that.
life. She's hilarious.
I like that. I wish we had that.
She has a totally different vibe from when she was on Hot 97. Her show is
Hmm.
hilarious.
It's dope.
I really like it. And she interview I mean because she's been in the industry so long, the people that she interviews are people that she's either known for a very long time or like her personal friends. She has so many industry friends because of what she's done for so long. Is she can ask questions that other people wouldn't be able to because they know that she's not trying to be messy. So,
Yep. So we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna plan it out. But since you and I saw Nikki and I last, we went to Jamaica with the family, had a great time.
yes, that was a time was had.
It was.
Uncle Randy, kept my son busy, gave me a
Yep.
couple breaks. I appreciated that.
Yep. Thoroughly enjoyed that. And so now we're back. And
We
I
both have hands. We're not quite as yellow as we were before.
No, definitely. My pigment up here is definitely
Yeah.
taking a while to adjust to my pigment down here. So, and it's only going to get worse now that bike season's in.
Oh boy,
Uh,
you could be on that trail.
yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Hey, plug this real quick. So, for those of you who are familiar or not familiar, I also do a podcast with 804 The Culture. Now, that platform is going to be strictly interview based. Okay. So, if you want to do an interview and you want to do something in person, and particularly if you're an artist or creative, um, you can inbox me for that and I'll connect you there, or you can email either way, and we can definitely get those interviews set up. All right. So Nikki and I were talking earlier in the week, and she sent me a post on ethical non-monogamy relationships,
It's hard to even say, right?
particularly for someone who has a thick tongue. Pause. So, for those of you who don't know, ethical non-monogamy is when people have multiple romantic or sexual relationships with the full knowledge and consent of everyone involved. It's
Hmm.
built on honesty, communication, and mutual respect, unlike cheating, which involves deception. Ethical non-monogamy can include open relationships, polyamory, and other forms of non-exclusive partnerships. So, first thing I want to get into you with this morning is why is ethical non-monogamy becoming so mainstream?
So, uh, so many reasons. So, there. mm. So part of the issue in our community that we are seeing is kind of like the upward trend of successful Black women. So it gets to the point that women are have more degrees, they have more experience, they're more financially stable, they have so many more of their own things, cars, houses, that type of stuff. So when you have more women that are like that, and then it's kind of like they are outpacing Black men. And when you're looking at as far as like corporate America, financial stability and all this stuff. And again, don't come for me. I'm not saying that there are not successful Black men. There are plenty of them. There are plenty of them. The issue is, especially if you're not in what's considered a chocolate city, where there is a higher percentage of Black people, the pool gets very slim. So the men tend to have a smorgasbord of successful Black women, brown women, any flavor of the rainbow women, whereas the Black women, our pickings are slim. So it ends up being, you know, you're kind of vying for those same guys. So what started happening was, of course, guys
Well,
cheat,
then
girls
stop
cheat.
licking your palm so daggone much. I'm trying to listen to you. I'm sorry. Like if y'all hear that,
I can't
pause.
hear it. I think you
Okay,
can't hear. You
good.
can
Just
hear
go
because
ahead. I'm
she's
sorry.
there. So I think that what not I think what has happened is there's been because men have more choices. Um, some of them, just cheat and hope they don't get caught. Some are with people, with women that are okay with them having multiple partners. And then some, they present ethical non-monogamy and it works for both of them. So it just is, I don't know when the tide shifted as far as this being a thing, because again, like you said, it's a big word
Yeah.
for what has been happening for a long time. Um, so I mean, I guess my thing is, so it really hit social media because of the show Harlem. So his name Kofi, I don't know how to say his last name, but Kofi
Yeah.
on the show was dating one of the main characters, and like whole whirlwind romance.
Kofi
Um
Sarah be or
yeah, I don't know how to say
I'm
it. I don't
sure
have to
it's
say it.
not. I'm sure I'm
But
not saying it right.
he's been in other shows. He was in Queen Sugar. He's been on Girls Trip, and he's fine. And everybody, I mean, he's fine. And so he's dating her. They have this amazing, whirlwind romance. She's thinking about settling down, having kids, all of this, and then it ends up being that she hears him basically telling this other girl that he'll be flying in tomorrow, and he'll see her soon, and he loves her. And so she's like completely in shambles because she's thinking, oh my God, he's cheating on me, all of this stuff. So when she confronts him, he's so chill about it. He's like, oh yeah, ethical non-monogamy. She knows. So what happened? The other girl knew all about her. She had no knowledge about the girl that's out of town. So again, herein lies the issue.
So that's the
There's
problem
one
there.
girl that's completely open, and she's like, hey, what's up? Like, they met up and had a little conversation, and
Yeah.
she's like, hey, I get my STD testing. Basically, we're sharing this man. So when he's here, he's with me. When he's there, one is completely down
Not
for
being
it.
built on honesty, not being built on communication.
But see, that's the thing. So he was honest with the original girl that had been with him longer, but I think that he wasn't sure how the current girlfriend would take it. So he wasn't open with her until he really, I guess, caught feelings for her. And then because she brought it up first, or put him on blast, then that's how it kind of, I love you, I want to be with you, but the way my life is set up, the way my values are, having one woman just isn't enough. And she really kind of tussled back and forth because she's saying, oh, he's everything that I would want in a man. So is this something I can really do? She kind of thought about it. And then when she met the girl in person and they sat down at the bar, she's like, oh, hell no, I can't do this.
Nah, this ain't gonna
So, I
work.
mean, yeah. And so and I think that the show did a great job of depicting what a lot of women go through. And I specifically say women, not to say that women don't have multiple partners as well, but I just, because male ego hits different. So I just can't see, that happening as often, that two men are sitting down at the bar discussing how they're
Yeah.
going to run their life with their shared girlfriend. It does happen. Of course it happens. We know that it happens, but it's just more frequently that is the other way.
Yeah,
Um,
this is, look, I don't think that I think it's all BS. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it's all BS. I think that it's just another, when we had these conversations, again, we're getting look, doomsday is coming. This is what this is. This all the end of the world is coming. We're getting
oh,
away from the basics and the foundation. Like this is basically saying that monogamy is outdated. And I don't
mhm.
I don't agree with that. It's probably always, I mean, the number of women to men has something has something happened like all of a sudden in the past 20 years? It's unlike what's always been. Has it there probably not always been more women than men, or like is that something that's all of a
No,
sudden
well,
changed?
no, it's not that. It's not so much that the number. It's the so when you think about, when you're talking about
Well,
monogamy, like, and we talked
yeah,
about
we
this
don't
on
even need to put
before.
gender in it though, or
Right.
sex.
No, that's right. That's what I'm saying. So it relationships in general, the need for relationships.
But you started that way. You started that way. You started by saying because there's more women to men.
Right. But now, but again, even with that, think about it. When you're talking about LGBTQ plus, when you're thinking about that, if you're thinking back when our parents were coming up, of course people were gay, they were bisexual, they were all of these things, but a very small number of them could be out and open about it. So
Yeah.
a lot of people back then, they married, whether it was for to cover, to try to fit in, to try whatever the case may be, or it may have been emotions that they had that they hadn't tapped into or they had not acted on. So they got married because that was what was expected or what was needed or whatever. People always got married for different reasons. Back in the day, if you got married, if you got pregnant, you got married. If you
Your
know,
marriages was arranged almost. Like that's my
right, that's what I'm
mom,
saying.
my
Or
mom and your mama be they friends, and this is
right, yeah,
look this.
or
But let's get right to
oh,
it, Nikki.
you
The
got
problem is
pregnant.
this:
What?
society. What's happening right here? Okay, this is
Mhm,
the answer to this is that people are so influenced now through social media, television, music, and entertainment, and that is
mhm,
molding and shaping the views, the ideologies, just bottom
mhm.
line, the way of life. That is the soundtrack to how people live their
Absolutely.
life. So now people like Kofi is
Mhm.
making money based on conversations like we're having because we're contributing to the algorithm, which
Right.
is pushing this forward.
Mhm.
It's the
You're right.
phones, it's the phone, it's the internet. Like I don't think monogamy is outdated. I don't. I think that commitment,
I mean, I don't think that it should be,
yeah,
but
I
I
think
mean,
commitment might be, we struggle with commitment. We struggle with discipline. We struggle, bottom line, with keeping, you know, our personal parts to ourselves. We
mhm,
just struggle with that. We live in a world where lust
mhm.
and this stuff is more contagious. You know what I'm saying? You look at me, I look at you, we look at each other a certain kind of way. We next minute, we fucking. Bottom
It's
line.
right. It's instant because it's again, it's the when you're talking about social media, it's that the rush or the push for the instant gratification. And if you are focused on a relationship and the commitment and building the foundation of what would be considered a healthy relationship, you got to put the work in. And so what happens, the relationship is on fast forward. And so by the time they really get to know each other, all the red flags and everything have been completely missed because you pretty much skip the courting phase to you're in a relationship and you don't even know who you're dealing with.
This is a perfect
So
opportunity for a shameless plug. Nikki is the chief clinical officer at a new legacy center where they work with the babies. Okay, so if you're a mother listening to this right now, all right, you know what I'm
fourth
saying,
trimester
and
program.
or a father, and your child is possibly being influenced by society in a negative way, you need to get on over there to the St. Luke Legacy Center and create you a new legacy. Get your baby a therapist. Get your
Mhm.
baby a counselor. You know what I'm saying? Get them in a group. Get them in an environment where they can be positively influenced and get these damn phones at their hand and get them off the internet because that's the problem. That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? We helping the babies today and we helping them through you as the parents because I ain't got no babies listening. Ain't no babies listening, but you folks who are listening, you can be the difference in the change and helping to kind of change this. I think bottom line, Nikki, simple as this, do you see moving forward that this ethical non-monogamy being something more of a norm? Is
I
this
do
continue to
I do
grow?
think I do think that it will continue to grow because it's going to get to a point that from people that I've talked to, again, it's like they can't find everything that they want in one person. So they're okay with piecing it together. That's number one. Number two, you have so many people that have either been in relationships that they're carrying not just the baggage. Everybody has baggage from relationships, but people have like real trauma like that has happened, that has occurred over time in the relationships that they've been in, whether it's relationships or marriages. Um, and because of that, it's a hard line in the sand of things that they are not going to put up with, they're not going to deal with, and that makes them hesitant to get into another serious relationship or to get married again and things like that. So when you're looking at the divorce rate being through the roof, and even with that, there's so many people that the divorce rate will actually be higher because it's people that are separated for years before they actually get divorced. So when you think about it like that, it's a lot of people that have been hurt. Some of them have not properly healed, or some of them have and said, I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. So with that being the case, they want to enjoy their life. They want to spend their life with someone, but it may not necessarily be that they're going to marry that person. So that's why you hear people saying more that they have life partners and things like that, as opposed to focusing on, oh, I need to get married.
Yeah, there's some reasons that I feel like it might not work. The
Okay.
reasons is because
Oh,
I
wait,
feel
you
like
said no, I said it will continue to be a thing. It don't work for me.
no, no, no. I know, I know.
Right.
I mean, I think it's still going to be a thing, but I think that factors that can contribute to it being a watered down thing or not like a real, not, it's a thing, but how real can it be? I feel like, like we talk about real relationships, real authentic, like an authentic relationship.
Mhm.
Like it can exist, but everything that exists isn't real.
Right.
So like I think that jealousy plays a factor in it because how can you equally, I mean, you're spreading your efforts amongst more than one person.
Right.
So it's not going to be
Spreading
equal.
yourself
Time
thin.
management, you
Mhm.
in the bed with this person for 5 minutes, this person only gets 2 minutes because you ain't got nothing left. Like, I mean,
Right.
like y'all, you know what I'm saying? You fight sexual. I mean, that just seems like a strain. I mean, I get it if you're doing it recreationally, but if
Right.
everyone's needs are trying to be met, there ain't no way that you happy as that person
Mhm.
when you there and they're here.
Right. Well, I mean, but that's kind of like what you were saying with the label of the whole ethical non-monogamy. It encompasses so many things. So if you're thinking like polyamory, you're dating multiple people, but it's not like you're not like in a threesome or what they call a throuple, so that this one person has two girlfriends
But
or
in
two
ethical non-monogamy,
boyfriends.
you are correct.
But what I'm saying, but it doesn't it doesn't mean that they're all co-mingling. You know what I mean? So it could be that person spending time with girlfriend
Okay,
one,
I
and then
get
you
you.
go spend time with
Yeah,
girlfriend
I was
two.
thinking more
Having a
poly.
right, that's what I'm saying. So a throuple would be that they're all engaged in a
Throuple.
couple.
Yeah,
Right.
just
So the whole polyamory thing, yeah, that's what it's called. They
I'm
call it
still
the
learning in my adult age a
so,
lot of
but that's what
stuff.
I'm saying. So things like that get lumped into ethical non-monogamy. So like a throuple is an actual relationship with three people versus you have a
Literally.
girlfriend in Houston and then you got a girlfriend in Miami and you have one in Richmond.
Sounds like a lot of entanglement to me. Throupling.
It's
Uh,
absolutely a entanglement. That yes, absolutely.
Emotional, yeah, the emotional connection. The other part I was thinking about is the emotional connection. Like, man,
Mhm.
like anyway, this is interesting.
It's a lot. It's a lot to unpack.
Men and women probably don't experience it the same.
Oh, definitely not. And when you're talking about the emotional connection, for some people, they struggle with like the emotional attachments. So having something like this is actually works for them because they don't have to be fully invested in anyone. So
I
it's one of the so it ends up being like it's one of those things. How long does that work for all parties involved? Because at some point, one of them will probably catch more feelings or get more invested in that individual relationship. And when that happens, then it no longer the agreement no longer works.
I mean, I try to remove myself from myself and like think back to my younger self. Like I try to
Mhm.
I try I just never was the person though that could like juggle more than one thing at a time though. Like
Mhm.
just for various reasons. It ain't in my personality to I think it for me it causes stress to
Mhm.
have to feel emotionally connected.
Right.
Not just emotionally,
Mhm.
but particularly emotionally connected. I mean,
Right.
everything else is just would be too much. I was sitting here looking, going through some notes I had. Like, I mean, I think a lot of people just look at it. There's a lot of people who attach to this. They
Mhm.
see Kofi, and then they look at it as an excuse to cheat. That's my initial thing. Like, this is an
Okay.
excuse to cheat, and
Mhm.
and you finding some new eloquent way of trying to introduce into your relationship this ethical non-monogamy. Nah, you just looking
Well,
for a reason to cheat.
so then this is the thing, because again, it's ethical non-monogamy. So if it's non-monogamy, then it's kind of like, oh, when they say it's a situationship, or we
I
don't
guess
want
it's not
labels,
cheating. It's not cheating.
or we don't want labels, or we don't want y'all. I mean, it's not. I can't. How can I can't if it's ethical non-monogamy, then in my mind, I'm not calling you my man because if it's non-monogamy, then that means that we're not together. You know what I mean? So again, I think that it depends. It really depends on the person and the situation that falls under that umbrella because it looks very different for polyamory versus a throuple. So yeah,
You know a lot about this.
I do.
Why you know so much about it?
I'm a therapist. Do you know the type of I have some of everybody that sits on my couch.
I'm just trying to see if you
So
have any personal, if you know any, like, I'm just curious of why
yeah,
you know so much about it.
listen, you have known me for a long time. So you
Yep.
have known single Nikki. You have known Nikki in her 20s, 30s, and 40s. So
Hmm.
you've known single, engaged, separated, divorced, you've known every stage of Nikki. So you know that I don't date well. Anyone that's close to me knows that I don't multitask men. I date or I'm in a relationship. I don't have to I have so much going on in other areas of my life. Multitasking men has never been a interest of mine.
Summer's coming though.
And summer is coming and I will be outside with my little boy. Like I always say, me and Bean will be in the street.
No hot girl summer. No hot girl summer for you here.
Now my hot girl summer includes Great Wolf Lodge and King's Dominion and margaritas and nachos and chips with my
You
little
know
boy.
what? You
That's
might meet what if you met this tall, dark, and handsome, rich man, right?
mm-hmm,
Who within his culture
mm-hmm.
found it, like because different cultures may see this differently,
All
you
right.
know, and he might be everything and more that you could ever imagine in a
Hmm.
man.
Hmm.
And culturally, he wants to position you to be his queen,
Okay.
literally because he's a king. However, you
Yeah,
have to be willing to accept that, there may be another one somewhere. Could you consider it?
absolutely not.
Let me tell you what, man. You say this now, but for $200 million,
No. So this is the thing.
200
Money,
million cash. Listen,
no.
I want you to be my
Okay.
queen. I'm gonna give you this money. Do what you need to do. I'll be home Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and
Mhm.
every other Saturday.
No. So maybe
Good
mid.
good
Listen,
sex.
are you
Great
gonna let me
sex.
answer?
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So 25-year-old Nikki may have considered that. 40 plus Nikki knows that that's a sham.
Yeah.
And again, if it works for somebody else, that's cool. But I feel like one, money that you again, you've known me long enough that money don't move me. So I make my own money. I have a good life. Now I don't have hundreds of millions of dollars. I think that would be different. But you're not going to dangle money as a carrot over me to do what you want to do. So again, if you got that much money, I'm sure there are many women that will allow you to do any and everything that you want to do for that money, but I'm just not one of them.
Could you be a side chick though?
No. At this big again, at
Hey,
this
you know
big
what? I was reading when I was looking at this though. Side chicks are coming up though.
oh, they
Like that's
do.
that.
I
I was
know a
looking at
lot.
like, dang, people really value like if you want to be a really good side chick,
Mhm.
you can live a really good life.
Yeah,
No,
and I,
no
I know quite a few that do. But again, what works for them does not work for me.
yeah,
I don't do good with sharing. I don't do good with honesty because I feel like if you're not honest with me, then there's no loyalty. If there's no loyalty, there's no trust. All of it kind of rolls into each other. And again, at this age, I'm not going to my time and my attention is limited. So I'm not going to spend the free time and give more attention to somebody that I can't trust or I don't feel like there's going to be loyal to me. So if that's the case, then it's not worth it. It's not worth my time. It's not worth me looking that way.
Hmm. Nikki, thank you for bringing up the conversation of ethical non-monogamy. This has been
I saw the post on Instagram and I was like, oh, this will be interesting.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You got any
Yep.
friends that participate in this? You ain't
N-
gotta say their
not
names.
not with that. Oh, I'm not gonna say names, but not with the label of that. But I have friends and family members that have a nice roster. I'll say
So what
that
do you
they
mean
have
when you
a nice
say not
roster.
with a label?
They don't it
You know
because it's
labels, listen, labels conceal more than they reveal.
I understand that, but like I would like when you're saying like a side chick and stuff like that, it's not they're just not they may not be exclusively dating one person. And so because they're single, it's they do
I
what they
guess
do.
that. So what this does, ethical non-monogamy puts the label on it. It basically says, listen, we seen
Basically,
each
you're
other.
my main person. You're my main person, but I'm going to see other people.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's what I'm saying. I feel like they're we're 40 plus, and the women that are
Who 40 plus?
well, I'm 40
I
plus.
don't I don't need you putting my age out there. I
Gonna
never
I'm
said
not
how old
gonna
I
say how
was.
old you are, but I'm okay with saying that I'm over 40.
I don't even know how old I am. I forgot. I don't even keep up. I
I
stopped
know
keeping
how old
up.
you are, but I'm not gonna put it on here. But again, I think that with specifically about the people that are in my life, um, they I have some that are just single and mingling, and then I have some that have different people for different things. And if they're okay with, if they like it, I love it.
Different people for different things. That's
Different people for
interesting.
different things.
We
And
ain't
if that's, I mean, if
that's got
that's
to be another let's table that one. Because I want to
okay,
know,
that could be
I
another
want to get into more of that.
discussion.
I don't know. I just feel like a lot of my female friends who, I just feel like there's a lot of single women out there.
Mhm,
Let me take that back. It ain't my female friends because I ain't got a lot of like female friends. Let me be clear.
mhm,
I think the friends and family that I know,
mhm,
okay, like I may know someone and all
mhm,
their friends are single.
mhm.
that to me is, maybe this ethical non-monogamy. I don't know that probably wouldn't work though. It's just it is a lot of single women out there, and
It is.
I understand to some degree why,
Mhm,
because with men we can like under promise and overachieve. We're not really required to. Well, I'm not saying we're not. I don't want to use the word requirement. It's like if we work, that's a check.
mhm.
We, we don't have no criminal record, that's a check.
And it
We
depends.
we
And if you have a criminal record, it depends on what it is. Because
yeah, are we
sometimes
good?
that's
Are we good to our parents?
hmm
That's a check.
hmm
You know,
how many kids do you have? How
Shoot.
many
If we
not
got
how
under
many
three, if we got under three, if we got
yeah.
under three,
How many mothers do you have? How many of those mothers are drama?
yeah, we
Like
ain't got
it
our
gets,
standards. Our
it gets
standards are pretty low.
hmm
We ain't got to do much. Right? Under promise, overachieve. Therefore, anything above that,
hmm
we start getting like ribbons, and we doing
right.
good. So,
But okay, at the same token, so you said that for what guys, what are expected from guys, what's expected from the ladies?
from my perspective,
Hmm
your face number one.
Okay.
Face card got to be right. Like,
hmm
ain't no man want to roll over and I mean, well, not gonna say no man. Me personally, like, I don't think I could ever turn over and look at your face and have a problem with it.
Right. Okay.
For me, that's important.
hmm
Number two, structure
hmm
and like you got to have some type of structure to your life, stability. You know what
hmm
I'm saying? You got to have some type of ambition. You
hmm
know that's important. Um, I think again for me, I think it's more like this partnership. That's the ultimate goal. Like feeling like you are take just feeling like that person can be like your best friend.
hmm
Really, ultimately, at the end of the day, that person can be your best friend. I don't know that I have any, high expectations. See, we was talking about marriages and relationships being arranged. You arranged my marriage,
I,
so I could really ask you. You knew me
I,
well
I
enough, and you
did.
knew me well enough. You put this together. I
I
appreciate
sure
it.
did.
I
I was
owe
like, oh,
I
this
owe
will
everything to
work.
you. I didn't have to. I didn't really have to do a lot of thinking. See, all I
You
had to do
did.
was show up.
I vetted y'all for each other. That's what
All I
I.
did was show up.
You did. I was
Because
like, oh, this will be
before that, I knew who she was.
great.
We both knew who each other was. Well, no, she didn't. See, I knew who she was. I was married. She was married. But I still knew who she was. She didn't know who I was. She
She
didn't
did.
know who
She
I
didn't
was.
know who you were, but you
She
knew
thought I was. She told me I was not the description of who she thought I might
she
be.
thought you were. Right. Uh-huh.
He expected someone to be old and fat.
Because that's what in her mind, that's what a Randy was.
Yeah, I guess that's what it was. So
Yeah.
yeah. So again, you made it easy for me. All I had to do was show up.
hmm
But for you guys in the chat though, or in the conversation, if you followed through, because again, this is a short podcast. Some people watch them. I think people driving on the audio platforms, it looks like people listen through. On the YouTube and the visual, not so much. They like come and go.
They
It's
do
kind of
like the clips. It's like
yeah.
the
So
clip stuff.
if you at this part of the conversation and you've been watching, why don't you get in the comments or why don't you shoot some information about like how do you feel about these ethical non-monogamous relationships or is monogamy outdated? You know, get in the comments and share your input. We got to wrap up here. This was a short one today. I kind of like this approach. We may be able to do more of these short ones in this
Mhm.
platform for you guys, but we'll be back and we'll be back soon. Hey, they missed you.
And I'm glad to be back.
I had people saying stuff. I was like, no, we have real jobs.
Like we
And
can't always do that. Yeah.
people are busy, but we will be doing more. We just getting into a flow. We're growing through the
Right.
process. Any closing words?
I mean, I'm just thinking about, like you said, is monogamy outdated? I don't think that monogamy is outdated. I think that monogamy is transforming. As the world, as society is growing and changing, I think that the expectations of what monogamy is has changed with it, because a lot of that comes with the gender roles, why people got married, why people stay married, all of those things that are lumped into it. Because it's not just about the marriage, it's the partnership. When people say that marriage is like a business, or like you said, that you have to be friends, people are getting in relationships and not realizing until down the road because now they've already signed leases or they've had kids and all this stuff, and they wake up like, I don't even like this person,
Hmm.
or you know, this is my best friend, or these are my best friends. This is who I talk to. I can't talk to him or her. I don't enjoy time with him or you know what I mean. And so it's kind of like after the shiny and newness wears off, they realize like, hey, this isn't really what I signed up for. So I think that again, because of the how fast paced relationships are, kind of like what you said, social media, the instant gratification, everything is rush, 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 now, that the foundation is missing. So I think that for, and not for everybody, but I think that the foundation of what a strong, healthy relationship that can lead to that long-term monogamy is being uh shortchanged. So
Yeah.
because of that, I think that that contributes to how things crumble or how things progress as
Yeah.
relationships go on, because
Bottom
I hear
line,
that all the time. I don't
bottom
like
line,
her.
we
I
need
don't
to
like
get back
him.
to church. We need to get back to church.
Yes.
We
And even
really
that
do.
church is so different now from COVID. Have and knowing people that have always been in church, and then it's like and I mean myself included, I grew up in church. As an adult, it's not like I went every Sunday, but I went a lot more frequently than I did before COVID. And it's sad to say because now we're in 2025, so we're going into year 5 since that happened. um and it's just hard, in talking to friends and family, it's just hard. People are struggling to find church homes because the vibe of church is so different from what it used to be. So,
Yeah. Look, we need to get the vibe back into our heart. That's what it is. We got to kind of revibrate that. Everything's a vibe now, right? And that's just kind of that's the vibration that we need to get on.
right.
Look, this has been another episode of the Randy Wilson podcast with Nikki Shaw. Super excited to be back. Remember, you can catch this podcast everywhere podcasts are played. If you're listening, go over to YouTube and check us out. You can see the lady who's been talking about all this stuff. All right. And we'll catch y'all next time. We out.
Bye.